Hey Extraordinerd, yo soy Paola Del Castillo aquí desde Isla Nublar. No, no es cierto, estamos desde Universal Studios, donde vamos a hablar sobre la película de Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, la próxima película de esta franquicia. Vamos a entrevistar a parte del elenco, voy a hablar también con el director J. Bayona, con Colin Trevorrow, que esta vez escribió, y también con Neil Scanlan para hablar un poco de cómo crearon a estos animatronics. Así que quédense a ver este video. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. I feel like I am really in Isla Nublar.
Yeah.
Like it's not that hot, I guess, but
Yes, yeah, this is a more kind of like perfect, controlled version of the
less
island.
dangerous, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes.
We'll
yeah.
see. We don't know what you're going to ask us. It might
Yeah.
be more dangerous.
Nah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think so. J. Bayona, the director, is a master of suspense, and every scene is more dangerous and intense. The set, was it like that? Like every scene was even more intense than the other one?
Well, he does this really kind of like brilliant thing where he plays music on set during the take that allows us as the performers to understand where kind of like the right tone and how he kind of imagines the scene eventually evolving and what it's going to feel like. It's like you don't get tired in that circumstance. You stay totally present when there's music playing, and then very often he would just be out of control when it came to dinosaur roars. He was just over the top with dinosaur roars.
He had his phone linked to the sound system at all times. So if he pressed the button, it would be a T-Rex roaring. And it was so loud, it would like pierce your eardrums. He got Justice over and over again. Made Justice jump. And because of that, we were always a little bit on edge, which I think really helped in the scene, because you never knew if he was going to hit you with the T-Rex sound. So it was very helpful as a directing tool to make us a little even more on edge.
He also uses a lot of practical effects. So when there would be scenes where there would be like, an earthquake or an explosion or something to that effect, he would arrange for the set to be able to almost be like some theme park ride where you're like, oh my gosh, it's actually moving, and oh, that's actually exploding, and we're not having to pretend. And that helped to create a world that it was almost like we were stepping into Jay's world.
Me encanta de tu filmografía que siempre tienes esta manera de mantener el suspenso, de hacer que el peligro vaya creciendo cada vez más. Y leí por ahí una entrevista de Colin que decía que esto era como el orfanato y lo imposible con dinosaurios. ¿Qué nos podrías decir que trajiste de esas dos películas a Jurassic World?
Pues es verdad que hay una combinación ahí curiosa porque tiene por un lado el suspense y el terror del orfanato, ¿no? Y por otro lado también tiene ese elemento de película de desastres, ¿no? Hay una secuencia muy espectacular en el centro de la película en el momento en el que el volcán entra en erupción, ¿no? Y casi es una película de desastres, ¿no? Y yo creo que en ese sentido me he sentido muy cómodo porque Colin ya pensó desde el guión en ese elemento de misterio y de suspense, que es donde yo me siento más a gusto. Para mí, diseñar las secuencias, especialmente en la segunda mitad de la película, que es en donde la historia se vuelve más claustrofóbica y más de suspense, para mí ha sido un gustazo poder diseñar todas las escenas de miedo con los dinosaurios, ¿no?
Estamos con Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum. I am so excited to meet you.
You are so sweet. Thank you, Paul. I'm excited to meet you.
I love your character since the first movie. I was like 5 years old.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Wow.
I'm very curious about your character in the first movie. Like, he has so many funny moments. Was that just part of you improvising, or was that Steven Spielberg like telling you like laugh like this?
Oh, I may have peppered and seasoned it with a little of something that I could offer, but no. Michael Crichton had written a beautiful book and a beautiful character in that book, who was smart and funny, and then Steven Spielberg, presided over this script that was wonderful. But he was very like an independent film director in that he was actorly, and that we kind of felt like we were collaborating a little bit, and he encouraged any kind of improvisation. I think that laugh that I do in the helicopter is maybe something that I just did, I think so.
In the first movie, back in 93, it was about creating life. Then in Jurassic World, it was like making money out of that life. What do we see now in Fallen Kingdom?
This is about protecting that life. And now these are animals that exist on the planet. And so we did it. We're responsible. And there's responsibility that's felt and guilt that's felt by Claire and by Owen. Specifically by Claire, you're sitting in the dinosaur protection group where she has become an activist to try and save the dinosaurs because she feels a certain amount of culpability for what happened. And when you approach a sequel, we just sat and looked at it from a real world standpoint and thought about, well, what would really happen? There would be, $800 million in lawsuits, and she probably was never going to work in the corporate world again. And she's somebody who changed over the course of the first film. In the middle of that film, to me, which is the most important moment for her character in Jurassic World, is when she sees that dying apatosaurus, and they change from being assets, corporate assets, to living, breathing things. And this is a movie that takes us to a place where these animals, we have to coexist with them the same way we have to lions and tigers and bears and everything else.
How much has changed since 1993 with Stan Winston to animatronics today?
In many ways, not an awful lot. I think that what Stan Winston did and the digital guys did is absolutely a landmark moment in film history, isn't it? Practical effects had reached a pinnacle with Jurassic Park. It had become the very, very, very tops. It was very mechanical and in many ways very robotic. Brilliant, I think. But the scale of economics of making films get more difficult each year, and so I think what we've had to do is to think more carefully about how we bring things to life so that we can stay competitive within the film environment. For instance, this character, she's not a heavy and hydraulically driven character. She's actually quite light, and she's performed by puppeteers who are below the set. So, for instance, she moves very simply and very easily without being too overly sophisticated.
I think one of the most important parts of every Jurassic Park and World movie is the kid's perspective. How do you include that in this movie?
Well, we do it a little differently. One of the things that I found to have become a trope in Jurassic Park movies is there's always a kid that shows up and just happens to be there. And I think we reached a point where we needed to find. I want there to be a kid in the film. It's important for Steven to have children in the film, but we wanted to create a character who had a bit more of a narrative purpose in the greater scheme of things. And Isabella Sermon's character, Maisie, is really important in the context of the story and someone that I think as we discover, where she fits in and her relationship to all the characters that we already know, I think people are going to be really, really interested in where we've taken it, where Bayona's taken it.
In this film, the island has been abandoned, and we go back there. But what happens is there's really one of the main characters, if not in my mind, kind of the main character is a young girl, and you get to see it's a much more kind of intimate experience where you're seeing this world and you're seeing these discoveries through the eyes of a child. And so while it's not like a bunch of kids going to a theme park, being like, whoa, it's a very visceral, personal experience of what it would be like if a child was, say, trapped in a room with a dinosaur.
Scary.
Yes.
I love the lyrics to the Jurassic Park song.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you know them?
Yeah.
Let's sing them together,
Okay.
really?
In Jurassic Park, scary in the dark, I'm so scared that I'll be
eaten. That's very good.
Can we come up with lyrics for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom?
Oh
Just
my
that small chorus?
Gosh, I don't know. What do you think? Here we are again. I'm testifying before Congress. I strongly recommend that the volcano kills them. That's a horrible version. That's a very bad version.
No,
I'll keep working on it.
Algo que me gusta mucho de la película original es esta manera en la que Spielberg pues hace que sea todo terrorífico sin que veas al dinosaurio, solo es anticipar con el agua, con la gelatina. ¿Qué tipo de cosas hiciste tú como para dar esta sensación de estos dinosaurios que son peligrosos, pero te dan miedo?
Para mí es uno de los mayores gustos de hacer estas películas, el poder jugar con el espectador y con el suspense, ¿no? Es más importante lo que no ves muchas veces que lo que ves, ¿no? Y ahí es muy importante el sonido, los ambientes claustrofóbicos, la atmósfera, la lluvia, la oscuridad, y tenemos todo eso en esta, ¿no? Realmente está llena de detalles. Yo creo que el suspense tiene mucho que ver con los detalles, ¿no? Y es una película llena de sombras, llena de pasillos, ¿no? Y encima con dinosaurios, ¿no? Realmente creo que a los que les gustan estas películas, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom realmente tiene todo lo que buscan, ¿no?
I think one of the most iconic also of the animatronics since the first movie is every time they step in the ground, like they make this big footprint.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you make that effect?
Yeah, and so the idea is that by pressing the foot, you actually see the foot swell. So this material is what's called foam latex. It's a very soft material, and so what we're able to do is to make the base of the foot very, very soft, and we just use pressure. So, for instance, we would build just the foot for that purpose, and as the foot hits the ground, then it swells and moves across, and then with all the sound effects and the rest of the things that come with it.
We always have the kids' perspective in all the movies, but it's also terrifying for them. Like, for me, watching it as a little girl, it was terrifying, but I loved it.
You did? How old were you when you saw it?
Like 5 years old, I guess.
Oh,
yeah.
That must have been terrifying. Were you traumatized in
Yeah,
any
by the T-Rex.
permanent way? You
Totally.
were?
Do you think it's a good idea for kids to go watch it?
Well, we were told in the first round of publicity, after when the first one was coming out, we knew that it was kid attractive, but whatever rating it was, I think they told us, hey, make sure to tell everybody, this may be very scary, and so if you're a parent with any questions, you see it first and decide on a case-by-case basis if your child is too sensitive for it. But in the 2 decades, I've never heard many stories besides yours, perhaps, where people were really frightened. And I've seen kids, they liked it, da-da-da-da-da. You were really terrified that it stayed
Yeah, I remember coming to the Universal Studios ride, and I was crying. Like,
You were?
I just saw the T-Rex and I was crying.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's scary stuff.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you for coming.